Beautiful. All right. We're getting ready to get started here. The Realtor Mastermind. Welcome, welcome, welcome as agents are piling in from all over the country. We're going to be getting started here in just a minute. Congratulations for passing the first test as an agent. Showing up early. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, well, in the military, they had a really bad word for that we won't use it. It's a family-friendly show, so this is going to be great. You guys are going to love this today. What we're going to be talking about is how to not just survive as an agent, but how to thrive. We all know the stats. They're ugly for real estate agents as far as 2 out of 3 won't make it 1 year. 92 agents out of 100, 92 out of 100 will not make it 5 years. In fact, the National Association of Realtors puts the stats out there that says this. 5 years from now, 80% of the homes that are being sold will be sold by an agent who's not currently licensed. Let me repeat that again. A National Association of Realtors stat says 5 years from now, 80% of the homes that will be sold by an agent who's not currently licensed. So there's a lot of turnover in our industry. And the reason for it, I believe, is this. It's not because agents want to do all that studying, going through all those classes and pass that test just to burn out. I believe it's because they don't have a daily method of operation. They don't know what they should do. This happens to a lot of entrepreneurs too, not just realtors. They don't know what they should do on a day-to-day basis, right? They get their license and they sit back and think, all right, bring the business, man. I should be having the business come into me. It should just start rolling in, right? Sales falling out of the sky, and that's not what happens. And so today we have 3 sets of superstar agents. They're going to be letting you know what they do on a day-to-day basis. Feel free to take notes. Feel free to put questions down in the chat box. We'll ask them as they're going along. We are going to keep everybody muted right now just to have a nice, clean recording. We'll give you a copy of the recording on this and how to sign up on our YouTube channel here in just a little bit. But go ahead and type your questions in the chat, and we will get to those questions. And it's going to be great. We still got a couple coming in, so we'll be getting going here in just a second. In fact, we're going to start with Alex Kovacs. Now, Alex, he's 3rd generation in real estate, but his family is on the commercial side of things. So he's celebrating his 3rd year in business in January. So congrats to Alex. He's not a statistic. He's projected to cap in his next month. And his first year, he saw $3 million in growth and closed volumes from year 1 to year 2 and projected growth from 2 to 3. So he's doubling his growth, it sounds like, each year. And he's going to be talking to us today. I'm going to have him unmute, Alex, and tell us what he does on a day-to-day basis to not just survive in this industry, but to go ahead and thrive. So Alex, take it away, man. Tell us what you do. How do you win in this thing?
Jim, thanks for having me. I think I want to preface kind of how my career started before I even go into my daily method of operations. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I'm not the Jared Cohens of the world. I don't know if you guys listened to him last week, but he had 50 plus sales in his first year of real estate. My first year of real estate was a little bit different. I only had 2 sales, and I started in 21, and I only had a closed volume of $360,000. And towards the first year, I had a lot of self-doubt. I was like, can I really take this as a career? But at that time, I was still having good conversations. My first year, I wasn't doing it full time. So I'm doing more showings. I had a new construction that was set to close in March. So I was like, you know what, let's go all in for 2022. Fast forward to the end of 22, I closed 11 sales, 3.2 million in closed volume. And the thing that I learned is delayed gratification. You don't go to the gym and do an ab workout and expect to have a 6-pack the next day. It's the same thing in sales and real estate. And then do another fast forward to year to date 2023. I have 10 sales, 4 pending, 3.9, and I'm projected to do like 5.2 million in sales. So one thing that I've learned here in this business, and one thing that I learned from Alex Montagano, is prioritize long-term relationships over quick sales. Once I have that long-term relationship, I think it's important to show what kind of realtor you are. And I think at this point in my career, I'm talking clients out of putting an offer on a house because I know long-term it's not going to be in their best interest. So I just want to kind of preface how my career started. Not everyone starts off hot, and I've learned that the work that you put in this year really shows the next year or 2. So I kind of wanted to preface kind of how my career started. So I think it's important in this business to have a why. Now, my why is I want to purchase a duplex and live in one side and rent out the other. So with my first year kind of being a dud, I won't be able to have that show of income until the end of this year. But based on what I projected, I have a $300,000 pre-approval. So that kind of goes into what my day-to-day looks like. So first off, I usually wake up around 8 a.m. Now, I stole some of this daily routine from Andrew Huberman. I don't know if you guys follow him. He's a neuroscientist. He has an awesome podcast called Huberman Labs. But the first thing that he says to do when you wake up is immediately go outside and get direct sunlight. This helps a couple of different ways. I think it's really helped. I'm a little bit of an insomniac, so it's helped me with my sleeping and my energy levels. So I'll go outside, get some sunlight, and I try not to listen to a podcast on this 10-minute walk. I try to use this time to visualize my day. So if I have showings later on that day, I visualize positive showings. If I have an inspection, I visualize positive inspections. I try to visualize my goals that I have, purchasing a duplex at the end of next year. I try to visualize these things. And I think putting that energy out in the world has really helped me succeed in the beginning of my career. So after that, I spend anywhere from 15 minutes to 20 minutes on my gratitude journal. I don't know if you guys have heard of Tom Ferry, but he has a ton of great content via YouTube or his podcast. But I usually utilize this 15-minute period to, jot down 10 things that I'm grateful for. What are my daily focuses for that day? What outcomes do I want to achieve? And what are my most important action items? I found when I actually write out what I'm grateful for and what actions I have, it really sets me up for my day and it gets my brain thinking as well. So I think that's super important to spend 15, 20 minutes to kind of get your mindset for that day and just kind of show how grateful you are for, what position you have in your life. And then for the next hour and a half, so from 8:30 to 10, I really focus that time on emails and auto emails. So all of my clients that I have set up on some kind of auto search or email, I have it BCC to my email. So I'll put my phone on silent mode and I'll go through what new inventories popped up based on my clients in the area. And then I'll just contact my active buyers like, hey, I have some active inventory that's popped up. It looks like it's fit the criteria of what you're looking for. Would you be open to checking it out over the next, tomorrow, today, whatever your schedule allows? So I kind of focus that time on that. And then that brings me to 10 to noon. I do a couple of different things within this hour. I think it's important to get a workout in. I've been trying to do these PPL splits. So I'll do push, pull, legs. After my workout, I'll come home. Andrew Huberman preaches some kind of cold exposure. I don't have an ice bath, but I've been doing like at least 2 minutes of like some kind of cold shower. And then I'll also utilize like 30 minutes to post some stories to my Instagram. So I have my Instagram and my Facebook linked to each other. So I use what's called Coffee and Contracts. It's about $50 a month. It has a ton of great information and content you can post on your stories. And that just first and foremost makes sure I have a daily posting to stay top of mind to all of my clients. And then I also like to eat when around noonish. I like to do some kind of form of intermittent fasting. I feel like if I eat early in the morning, then I have kind of a lull throughout my day. So after I get through that, I spend an hour between 12 and 1 p.m. through SkySlope. I know some agents have some kind of transaction coordinator that does that. I'm not quite at that point in my career. So I like to spend about an hour making sure that all of my pendings are moving along accordingly. Make sure I have all the necessary documents, make sure all of the documents my lender needs is getting them accordingly. So I like to spend about an hour to make sure all of my stuff is going through perfectly fine. And then from 1 to 3, I like to dedicate that time to searching within the MLS. So if I have showings later on in the week, I like to run comps in those specific areas, make sure the price points make sense for my clients. I like to utilize that time to look for investment opportunities. I work with a few different investors. So, if it's a rental that might work for a portfolio of an investor of mine, or, if I'm looking for a potential flip and I'm running numbers, I like to utilize that couple hour time to find those opportunities for my investors. And then from 3 to 7, I like to block off that time for showings. The majority of my clients, I found that time is usually utilized for showings. And then at the end of my day, I'll go back to my gratitude journal. And with this gratitude journal, it has on the right side, your top 3 wins for the day. So based on what I had scheduled or tasked out for the day, did I achieve, what are my top 3 wins of that day? What are the lessons I potentially learned that day? And then I like to score myself from 1 to 10 based on what I got done that day. And then what are my 3 goals for tomorrow? So I just want to make sure I have a plan. Did I achieve what I was, sought out for that day? And what do I have going on the following day? And then for the remainder of my week, I do something a little different each and every day. So for example, I would say half of my business comes from either Redfin or Zillow leads. So I like to prioritize new conversations and building rapport over, let's say, searching the MLS. So if I have a lead that pops up on my phone and they want to go check out a house later on this afternoon, but I'll prioritize that over going through searching the MLS, because I'm constantly wanting to, create conversations and add as many new clients as I can to my business as possible. So on Tuesdays, I like to dedicate 2 to 3 hours to my Redfin and Zillow follow-up. I just want to make sure no new leads are falling through the cracks. On Wednesdays, I do a little bit of brand building. I did this in the beginning of my career as well. And it's something I do called Hump Day Home Tours. And what I'll do is I'll go to a certain area, and especially if I have a client that's looking in that area. So I'm in Indianapolis, and let's say I have a client that's looking in the Fishers area. I'll go to Fishers and I'll see 3 to 4 houses in a couple of different price points. So I know, hey, if I have clients that are looking in this area, then I can see at what price point I can get a certain house. So it's kind of a cool method to show your viewers, your potential customers, and your followers what active inventory is available in your area based on what price point that you'd be pre-approved up to. So I use Wednesdays to focus on that. And then it's nice because Thursdays I'll use strictly for my sphere of influence follow-ups. So since I posted the day before on my Hump Day Home Tours, I can view on my stories on my Instagram and on my Facebook. I have anywhere from 400 to 500 viewers, and I can go back and reach back out to them. So I use my Thursdays to see who viewed my story before, reach out to them, and potentially create as many conversations as possible. Hey, are you just looking because you like to see what inventory is available? Or do you actually, are you searching for a house in the upcoming future? So again, I like to dedicate my Thursdays to my sphere of influence follow-up. And lastly, on my Fridays, I like to dedicate towards like content ideas. So I'm trying to post a little bit more on my Instagram, my Facebook, and even as of recent, my TikTok. I've actually gotten a few hits on TikTok. So, at least posting once or twice a week, some kind of reel or video. My brand is kind of like anywhere from like funny to inspirational to informational. So I like to post at least one thing each week based on that, just to grow my brand, try to get new buyers and sellers. And that's pretty much the extent of it.
Oh, so I love everything you said there, especially the fact that you have everything time blocked out. I always tell new agents, look, I can show you your paycheck by taking a look at your calendar. I know what you're going to be making from that. So you had a question from the crowd, Alex. Valerie Langhert from Central Ohio asks, do you cold call?
Yes, I tried to. I've done a couple with RedX. I don't know if you guys have utilized that in the past. I'll also use Remind too. That's one thing that I've found. I'll look up a certain area and I'll search the area. And I've also even like door knocked before. So sometimes I'll go to Remind, especially I like to utilize my listings, right? So if I have a listing in an area where I want more customers, for example, I live in Indianapolis. Hamilton County is like an area that I want to be more a part of. Obviously, they have higher price points. So I had a $500,000 listing in Carmel. So what I would like to do in those areas is I'll pull up Remind, and there's might be other software that you could utilize, and just find contacts within that area, and I'll print out 100 to 200 postcards, and I'll door knock every area like, hey, I have a open house on Sunday. I would love for you to join. This is an opportunity for you to choose your neighbor if you know someone that you want moving in the neighborhood. So that's one thing I do.
Valerie said, how do you pick where you door knock?
Again, I like to go around, first and foremost, my listings. That's an easy one. But another way that I'll look into it is if I look at a certain area and I see that there is a lot of active listings. And then if there is, then I'll search that area, and I will go from anywhere from like 200 to 500 houses. And if I see that like that's clearly an area that has a lot of turnover, then I love to door knock those areas, because that means that people are moving out pretty frequently, and it's a good opportunity to get new listings. Especially if you have buyers in that area. Or another way to do it is if an area that doesn't have a lot of inventory and you have a buyer that's searching in that area, that's a good way to door knock and be like, hey, I have a buyer in your area. There's not a whole lot of inventory, and it's just a good excuse to find new listings in that area.
I love it, Alex. Fish where the fish are biting, right? Why not? Let's go get what's working right now. So, Alex, you had some great. You named a neuroscientist, Andrew Huberman, and you also said a couple websites and different things. Will you put those in the chat? Because I know I'm going to get questions from people on them.
Sure.
The Red X and Remind. Will you put those websites in there for people in the chat, and also the podcast you mentioned with
Sure.
the neuroscientist Andrew Huberman? That'll be great. Great stuff by Alex. Thank you very much, Alex. Great stuff. I'll have you mute out. We're going to go to our next speaker next. By the way, any of you have questions, go ahead and type them in the chat box, just like Valerie just did. We'll get your questions answered. And also, coming at the end, we're going to want to hear from you. We want to hear your tips, tricks, things that you would do. We're going to have some time after our scheduled speakers, and we'll hear from you. Like, let's hear what you do. What's your tip, tricks that you have for agents to not just survive, but to thrive? But we're going to go to Dylan Gilezan next. And Dylan's in his second year of commercial real estate he works with serial entrepreneurs and investors to find creative solutions for the real estate business and needs. And he's going to share with us today what it means to collect and connect dots in commercial real estate and how you organize it all to take action. I love that word, Dylan, action. So take it away.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm obviously younger, but I've been in real estate for 2 years now. And one thing I've learned looking back on these 2 years is, if we were to summarize commercial real estate or even residential real estate into one sentence, it's collecting and connecting a lot of dots. What are dots? Any phone call you make, any property you look at, really any action you take in propelling your career forward is a dot. And Steve Jobs said in a speech one time, it's hard to connect the dots looking forward, but looking backwards, it becomes very easy. And if you can picture a connect the dots puzzle, you're placing all these random dots. You look back, you start connecting them, and then you have this beautiful picture and action to take. So how do I collect my dots? Well, it's a lot of cold outreach, doing a lot of door knocking. And I'm a big fan of, just having a notebook. So the number one thing I always do if I'm doing anything is write it down. I look at my notebook as my inbox to later organize. And, as commercial real estate agents, we're always on the go. Having a simple one piece paper, you guys can't really see it that well, but what I have is a loose leaf piece of paper, and I just put sticky notes on it for each day. And I write out my to-do list. I write out the people I'm going to touch. I also have another sticky note for the people I meet, and then also throw in a little, just habits and personal things I need to do. And then I put all my notes and ideas on the back. This piece of paper I can fold up, put in my pocket, take it wherever I need to go. So I always have a place to put phone numbers, people I meet, and collect those dots. And then as I'm going through the day, it's really every morning I like to get aligned with my team. I work with 2 other commercial real estate agents. We went to college together. So we work as a team of 3, and that requires a lot of project management and being able to collect and organize all the dots we're collecting as a team. Sometimes one of my business partners, he'll collect a dot that I'm able to connect for him. And we use a piece of software called Notion, where we put all of our information. Notion's super powerful, allows you to take notes, create database, and kind of just have a central location for all these dots you're collecting. So we have a database for our listings, a database for our buyers, off markets, a variety of things. And we can use these databases as a way to store our dots and then go back and see, okay, well, we know we met this guy who has an industrial piece of property for sale. Just met a guy today looking for industrial property. Now we can connect those dots and take some action. So every day it's getting aligned with my team. We do that in Notion. I create my little 1-page loose leaf paper, put a sticky note on there with all the things I need to get done, and then I start going after it. I also like to use, Google Calendar. Like Jim said, show me your calendar. That's where I schedule everything from time block Because if you have an empty calendar, you need to schedule some time blocks. That's a great time to get all those back-end administrative tasks you need to get done. As real estate agents, we don't always have that time, so it's important to time block it and get it done. And working with the team, we have to be able to have a central calendar where we can see what we're doing and know that we're aligned and moving our business forward. Outside of, Google Suite, Notion, and a notebook, I like to use Reonomy for a lot of property and lead generation. It's a great tool. You can find the owners of almost any property. Like to go through that, call all the owners, start collecting some dots, and then, just store all that in a nice database to where you can revisit it and start connecting them when the time comes. For content, I like to spend most of my, evenings just making content, and I like Twitter a lot. It has a great commercial real estate and residential real estate community where you can see people posting about deals, asking questions on commercial real estate. And it's a really great place to get education, but also share, tips, tricks, advice, and deals that you're working on. And you can, do some great networking through that. But ultimately, I'm big on, you got to have a piece of paper to write everything down. Every morning, I'm writing down my to-do list. I work through that throughout the day. I keep my afternoons open for showings and being able to door knock and do cold calls. And then as the evening rolls in, I'm reviewing everything, inputting it into Notion. And I like to look at, your piece of paper is your inbox. It takes too much time to organize that in the moment. When you're making 100 calls, you can't just pause, put all those notes into something. It's easier to handwrite it. And then at the end of the day, that's a great time to look at everything you've written down and then plug that into a hub like Notion where you can have all these dots collected. We all know, like in commercial real estate, you'll have a great day. The next day goes by and there's at least 5 items you've forgotten if you haven't put them somewhere to remind yourself. So Notion's also a way of reminding yourself of what you have going on so that you're not missing out on it. It's very easy for us to get caught up in shiny diamond syndrome, where the next day you have this great opportunity, you start chasing that, and you totally forget about all these other diamonds found along the way. So if I had anything to say, it's make sure you have a place to write things down in the moment, and then have a place to organize all that so it's easy to visualize and start connecting things in your career.
No, I love that you merge the paper and technology together, because there's such a huge argument going on out there right now of, I use technology or I use paper, I'm old school. And your mentor probably started her real estate business in the 1900s like we did ours. And yeah, that's our joke right there, Stephanie, on that one. But putting it on paper, it's a proven fact that the creativity that has to come from your brain to send the signals through your hand to actually write something is greater than what it takes to just actually type something on a keyboard. But you're merging the two together. I love that. And I love hearing that from your generation, that they're still working with that. And that's great. So we had a question for you, a couple actually. First of all, you mentioned Twitter, or what's it called now? X or something like that?
Yeah, X, Twitter, same thing.
It's going to be Twitter forever, right? Let's just call it that, even though they changed the name. But where specifically on Twitter are you finding these real estate communities? And we always hear people talk about IG and Facebook. How do you make Twitter work? Are you putting out real estate content on there? Are you asking questions? Give us a little more on that.
Okay, yeah. So I have 2 Twitter accounts. Me and my business partners have a podcast called the How to Business Show, and we put a lot of business related information out on Twitter via that account. And then I have a personal account that's focused on commercial real estate. Finding the real estate community, you can type in hashtag RETWIT, hashtag retweet. And it's basically
I'll have him
real
put all
estate.
that, when he's done talking, I'll have him put all that in the chat box for those of you who are going to go ahead and ask that question. Hey, Dylan, can you re-say that? I'll have him type it all in the chat box when he gets done here. Keep going, buddy. It was good stuff.
So yeah, the retweet community is very active. You can go in there and just see from all different states, all different asset types, people posting about their business and also sharing information. It's a great way to get yourself out there and meet other agents. And the best part is it's all done through text and threads. It's not like you basically get to build a relationship with a bunch of people just by posting your stuff and liking theirs. And you'll eventually, if you spend enough time in it, you'll find some, you can find yourself becoming a fan of some people, and there's a lot of reciprocity in terms of just sharing each other's information and being able to grow some outreach that way. The reason I like Twitter a little bit more than Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook is it comes down to the algorithms. It's really hard to get noticed on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn nowadays. They have different algorithms than Twitter, and Twitter's I still believe it's a way you can grow organically without paying for a bunch of boosted ads and stuff like that. But start a Twitter account if you don't have one. Go and look for the retweet community. It's great. You can find yourself going down a bunch of rabbit holes and all sorts of different facets of real estate.
So I'm coming up with a great topic for the future here for our GrowGlobal Realtor Masterminds that we have. And that would be, we've done the TikTok, Instagram mastermind. I think we need a Twitter, LinkedIn mastermind on how to do that and bring some people with real world examples and some slides and sharing their accounts and things like that and showing how that works. And I think Dylan might be our guy on Twitter to do that. For those of you who are John here holding Stephanie, if you guys are writing that down, I think that might be some great stuff on that. We got some questions on here. Let's see. How about this? Yeah. So realtors always say they're so busy and how much they work, but how many hours a day are you working and how many days a week? I'll go with Dylan on this, and then I'm going to throw it back here to Alex too. Just on that answer real quick. How many hours a day and how many days a week are you putting in your business?
Every day, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 8 p.m. I don't really look or track. I love what I do. So I kind of just, my day ends and I'm like, wow, it's 9 o'clock. So that's really how it goes for me.
Beautiful. And Alex, you still on here? You want to throw it on here?
Yeah. Again, I'm with Dylan. I don't really have and that's honestly half the reason why I joined real estate is I can create my own hours. I can do whatever I want. But like Dylan said, I love my job. So, I'll start my day at 8 a.m. I'll typically, after showings, it'll be around 7 p.m. But even after showings, like later in the evening, like I just love searching the MLS and running comps and just making sure that I'm doing my due diligence for my clients because, again, I want to be an expert broker in my area. So I want to make sure that I know what's going on in certain areas, and I want to make sure my clients aren't overpaying for houses. And so I don't have a set hour to hour. And if I have to work a weekend, great. And if I have something that I also have going on during the weekend and I want to block out that time, I can do that as well. So
I love it. Jacob Belt says from Boston, he says he's on goal time. So he doesn't really think about days per week. He mixes in personal and business, and that's worked well for him. Jacob's been around for a minute, haven't you, Jacob? You've been around for a minute. We're counting in decades now, not in years anymore with that. So I love it. Dylan, back to you. Anything you want to say to wrap up before we go to our next group?
Yeah, I just want to expand on hours per week. And real estate's, people can call it a job, but it's really more of a lifestyle, and you got to be willing to live that lifestyle. So I just look at it as this is my lifestyle and I'm living it. Deals intermingle on weekends all the time, and that's just part of it.
Stacey and I were in Louisville this weekend for the National Women's Bourbon Council. Sold 3 houses while we were there and took a listing. So you're right. So we were smashing bourbons while working. So there we go. Good stuff. And I know, Dylan, don't criticize me. I know it's not Louisville. It's Louisville, right? Isn't that how you say it?
Yes, sir.
Like you have marbles in your mouth. I love it. Awesome. Great stuff on that. So we're going to go next to Justin and Brooke Morgan. They're 3rd generation realtors. This is a family business. Actually, Brooke's grandfather and father were both brokers before. And so they are tops in their brokerage there right now. 10 years in real estate next month. So congratulations, you guys. Now you guys are counting in decades. They do about 40 homes a year, around 15 million out of the North Atlanta area. There's somebody you want to listen to. Justin and Brooke, go ahead and unmute and tell us how you just don't survive in real estate. How do you thrive? And look, they're going to be battling the old virtual background going on behind them. That's all right if one disappears and one doesn't. We know they're both there. So go ahead, guys, take it away.
Yeah, we're I think Brooke you're hitting 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years next month. I'm very excited. I feel like I have stomach problems all the time, which when you get really stressed, that happens. But yeah, I 10 years coming up next month.
I went full time in June of 2016 when we were expecting our first daughter, and our day-to-day is a little different because we do have two kids. Normally our day starts at like 6:30 in the morning when our 3-year-old, she kicks down our door like she's serving a warrant. So that's kind of how our day starts abruptly. But as far as like what we do every day, that just depends on what we have on our plate. Like a couple days ago, the last thing I worked on was at 11:30 at night, and the first thing I worked on the next day was at 6:30 in the morning. So it just day in and day out, it varies. We are very paper as well. We have a list on our fridge of like ongoing clients and contracts, and we also use a paper calendar in our kitchen as well. That way we see it and we have to make changes to it and physically do stuff.
And it's right in front of our face, which is always important.
Yeah.
So we're always seeing it.
So, yeah, as far as, sorry, we had like a fire happen with one of our deals like 30 seconds before this started going on. But I think a lot of what we do is problem solving, is trying to figure out, all right, keep each deal together, what's going on. There are certain things I'm really good at, and there's certain things Brooke's really good at. We try to yin and yang where we need to. As far as like what we do to generate business and how we've been able to consistently sell somewhere around that 30 to 45 homes a year, about 15 million a year in sales, is referrals. We network a lot through people we know, through family, through friends. A lot of what we do on social media, we post actual success. So if we're showing a house and there's something funny, we'll post a picture. Or if we're at the closing with a client, or if we're out showing something unique, like we actually try to show actual progress. We don't try to use any canned material, because sometimes I know for me, if I notice something through someone else's social media that seems very fake, it's just kind of a turnoff. Like I've seen a lot of people, they'll post stuff like, hey, which backyard do you like better? And it's like a $4 million house in California. And it's like, hey, you sell houses in Metro Atlanta. Like, why not try to use what is in your market or something? So we try to take a genuine approach with everything we do. And yeah, a lot of what there's really no systems that we have. A lot of the stuff we keep is in our head. I've got some friends that joke I've got a touch of autism. So I'm able to keep, it's weird, I'm able to keep like 10 deals going on in my mind. But we contract out a transaction coordinator. She does all of our back end paperwork and everything like that. So she's real good with kind of updating us every morning of like, hey, this is where this deal's at. I'm missing this document. And then Brooke handles a lot of the paperwork. And then I handle a lot of the showings and the hand holding. So the first part of the day is like getting our kids off to school. And then the first part of the morning is research, getting caught up on deals, doing stuff. And then towards the end of the day, we'll divide and conquer. Either I'll stay home with the kids or she'll go out with the clients or vice versa. And we just try to figure out each day like that.
One thing that I do love to do, and I kind of toot our own horn, is we're very big on pop buys. So about 4 or 5 times a year, we'll do a big push for our referrals. So we'll send out usually something in the springtime, and I like to have things made by like a local baker or a local artist that we can package and put in all of our clients and all of our referrals mailboxes. So we'll send out like 200 cookie making kits. And then things that are more hands-on, families love. And it's always exciting because their kids can be involved, and then they're taking pictures, they're putting on Instagram, and they're tagging you. And we become kind of like the go-to family-friendly realtor around here. And we kind of say that our niche is first-time home sellers, where they've bought a house, they've had a kid or two, and now they're ready to upsize. So we're there to help them on both sides of the selling and the buying transactions. But I think just always being available and friendly and fun and real has really made our business kind of take off. So we really, really try to keep things as genuine and upfront as possible with clients and friends.
Yeah, one thing we really focus on is our relationship with other realtors, regardless of what brokerage they're at. We try to take the motto that we're community, we're not competition. And I can't tell you how many times a past relationship with a realtor and a transaction has come to our benefit. 3 days ago, I met with a new construction builder and his agent, and we've had 2 positive deals go with his agent. And she moved us to the front of the line so my client could meet the builder, because she knew how easy we are and transparent we are to work with. And your reputation is key, not only with your clients, but with who you're working with.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many times I've gotten an offer from an agent who is a straight up Looney Tunes psychopath. And I've been able to present multiple offers to my client and be like, and they've asked me like, hey, how was everybody? I'm like, this lady was awesome.
Justin, Looney Tunes psychopaths in real estate? Come on, none of those exist, or no agents have
way.
I think they're part of the 92 that falls out in the first year.
Yeah.
You know?
Or they've been around for 47 years and it's like, time to hang up that hat.
Yeah.
They want you to fax something over, like,
back to the fax machine.
So we just try to be transparent with our clients and with other agents, and just coming with a mutual ground of respect. And a lot of times we'll have agents tell us certain information like, hey, look, you know, my client really needs to stay in the house for 2 weeks. I'm like, awesome. My client is renting someone's basement, so we can give you as much time as you need. And it's just finding those solutions and figuring all that out. We really try to, every morning we try to check our ego. You just check that ego at the door, because I'm telling you, there's times that you got to swallow your pride to get a deal done. And there's other times where you have an opportunity to make an example out of someone who really shouldn't be in real estate, but you choose to take the higher road. And that's what we try to do every day.
I love it. I love it. So I love that it's probably the first time I've heard it in this masterminds come up, and that is reputation, right? You spend your entire career working to build it, and you can destroy it really quickly. It's super important for newer agents to work on that. I've got a question for you. It's a little off. And by the way, anybody has questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat for any of our 3 speakers on here. And I've actually got some rapid fire questions that are going to be coming to them in a second that they have not heard in advance. So this is going to be fun. But for you, the 2 of you, for somebody who's going to work together with a spouse, with a best friend, with a domestic partner, what's a piece of advice that you could give them for that? Obviously, being together, the 2 of you, family is super important. I hear you prioritize that right now and you talking to us, but what's some advice?
Sometimes.
First advice, always let the wife go first when she talks. Right? Justin,
I think
we're very open with each other about everything. If we're frustrated, especially if we're frustrated, we talk about that first, get that out of the way, and then move forward with getting things done. I think that when you're working with a spouse or a partner or a friend, you have to make sure that they know all the details, that every detail is out within a contract, because contracts move so quickly. So everything, if one of us has had a conversation with a client, we update the other one immediately, like, hey, they want to change this to this, to this, to this. So being totally transparent, totally on the same schedule is key. You know, sometimes we wake up and the first thing we say is, hey, did you see that email? It's not good morning, I love you. It's, hey, get to work, you know. But then we make sure that we also have time to enjoy each other as well, not just in work. And that's when we make that time. So it's always being on the same level, and it's always being on the same communication line.
And when it comes to blocking out our schedule, we don't really block out our schedule with work. We will block out our schedule with personal stuff. Like Saturday morning, we were like, hey, we're not working the first part of the morning, and we loaded up our girls and went for a hike and a swim at a lake down the street from our house. And then we handled all of our work later on in the day. So there are, of course, stuff that you got to put on the schedule, like, hey, I'm showing the Joneses at 4 p.m. or something. But really the stuff that we put on the calendar is personal stuff. And then work just kind of fills in where we need to, because that's always ever evolving.
Mhm.
Because, somebody, they can't meet at 3, they got to meet at 5 or something like that. So,
And we both have the mutual understanding how this
Yeah.
career goes. It's not uncommon to drop a hat and have to leave in the middle of dinner. That's our life, and that's fine. And we both understand that. So having a spouse or a partner that totally understands how real estate works is key.
and it goes again with checking your ego, because there's some days she's 90% business and I'm 90% taking care of the household. And then other days it's the other way around. And you can't be like, oh, well. And then there's some days where you feel like you're doing all the work and all the home stuff, but it's just having a conversation with your partner and really realizing like, hey, today I'm at 50%. I really need your help with this. It's just communication, just talking.
I love it. I love it. So Abby says, I'm a new realtor in North Atlanta. Do you guys want to have lunch? So there you go.
Yes.
So
Good.
We live in
there you go, Abby. You're all
Atwood.
set. You guys can use the chat to trade contact information.
That's
So
great.
I love the fact you two prioritize family in there. You block that in there first. I think that's fantastic. So many agents forget that the best part of being a realtor is that we build our work around our life, not our life around our work. That's the other thing on that. So great. So I'm going to go Alex, Dylan, and then Justin and Brooke. And I'm going to do 3 rapid fire questions. By the way, anybody needs to ask questions, put them in the chat box. I've got 3 rapid fire questions for each of them. And then we're going to open this up for you guys to give us some of your tips, tricks, hints, things like that. So first question is going to go this. Again, I'll go Alex, Dylan, and then Justin and Brooke. If you were allowed to do only one thing in a day, right? Because we're talking about daily method of operation. Obviously, we got all these things we do as agents, but you're only able to do one thing and one thing only. What is that thing that you must do every single day as an agent? Alex, you're on the hot seat because we're going to go first with you on everything, man.
No worries. I think prospecting is the biggest thing. Whether or anything, just reaching out to clients, either follow up or prospecting. But I at least want to strive to reach out to 10 new people a day. And I also try to do it on different platforms. So whether it's an Instagram DM, a Facebook message, even LinkedIn. I've gotten a few clients off of LinkedIn as well. Don't sleep on LinkedIn. It's a great avenue to find new clients. And then also TikTok. As of recently, I've actually had a couple clients they've seen me from my TikTok. So I think constantly doing daily follow-ups and reaching out to at least 10 new people a day will definitely grow your business.
Without filling the funnel, baby, it all ends. And agents, if you're a newer agent, don't get caught up working in the business on all the stuff. Once you get a deal, don't forget to prospect. Great advice from Alex. Dylan, one thing and one thing only. That's all you get. What are you going to do?
Prospecting, but I'm going to narrow it down to handwritten mailers. I've had the highest conversion rate sending handwritten mailers. Even better if you can throw in an address and show them you've done research. It gets you way more calls, and the best thing is they're calling you and you're not calling them. You just got to send them a handwritten mailer with your number.
Dylan, you're an old soul in real estate, man. You're speaking my language. I love it. Beautiful. Justin and Brooke, you're muted. One thing and one thing only.
We will DoorDash stuff for people, if that makes sense. We are friends with a lot of our past clients and a lot of our people that are biggest walking billboards, if you will, on Facebook. And we'll genuinely, like, we had a past client who was going through some cancer treatments and she had her last treatment. So we sent her favorite dessert to the house. We couldn't physically drop by and be there for her, but we were able to drop off a present to her. And we try to do that with coming at it from a genuine angle, because, sometimes that does put you in front of them business wise, but, also you feel good at the end of the day because you're prospecting. Or a longtime friend's birthday who's referred you to a couple people. I'll shoot them something to their house on their birthday.
We try to do several DoorDashes per week, at least. Yeah.
Or somebody just had a baby that we sold a house to, and we know how crazy it could be that first week when you come home with another kid. Like, let's cover dinner for you for a night.
Just so you know, my favorite food is Popeye's chicken, extra spicy. So just send that to my house. I'll be putting my address down in the chat box. I love it. I love it, though. The relationship on it. That's great. Okay, so rapid fire. Here we go. Best book for realtors. One book and one book only. Alex, go. And then Dylan, and then Justin and Brooke.
Figured you'd ask that. Millionaire Real Estate Agent. This has been an awesome book. It's probably hard to read. It's a nice blueprint. It has a ton of great information. It also has like a nice mindset of expanding what you want to make and expanding your goals and honestly just reaching for the stars. But it's a nice book to kind of lay out your whole career and expand a little bigger.
Yeah. Build a business, not a job. Love it. Go ahead, Dylan. Best book for an agent.
You can't see it, but Full Fee Agent by Chris Voss and Steve Scholl. Chris Voss did Never Split the Difference, big book on negotiation. Him and Steve Scholl partnered to do it specifically about real estate, and it's the Full Fee Agent. We all want to be one of those.
Beautiful. Go ahead and all you guys go ahead and type them in the chat box so I don't get asked a million times after this. If you would, please. Justin and Brooke, each of you can have a different book. Each one of you each. Which book?
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Boom. Same for you, Brooke, or something different?
Same for me. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's a great book. Go ahead and type those in the chat box. Last question, then we're going to go to everyone else on here. Let's. This is a question, very interesting question, since we're talking about daily method of operation. Alex, what time do you get up in the morning?
8 a.m.
8 a.m. Dylan, what time?
Between 6:30 and 7.
6:37. Justin and Brooke, I know you got a 3-year-old kicking the door in like she's serving a warrant. What time you getting up?
Whenever she gets up.
Yeah.
So probably about 6:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we really start our real estate day around 9:30 after carpool.
Yeah.
Got it. Love it. Love it. Rance Robinson has a question to Alex. When you're reaching out to your people via social media, are they cold reach outs, and how do you break the ice? So you said you had people who watch your stories and things like that. How are you reaching out to them individually? What are you doing?
Yeah, again, that's why I like to do the kind of brand building of the Hump Day home tours, where I'm showing different inventory in different areas, especially if I know like that's a potential client and they live in that area. Sometimes it'll be cold, but sometimes I like to reference back on what I posted. Like, hey, I saw you've been paying attention to me posting in the Fishers area. Are you still living around there? Are you, is there a long-term solution / house that you see in your future? That's one way I'll do it. It's kind of a little bit warmer than a straight up cold reach out.
So you're just mentioning the post that they commented on and just reaching out from there and starting a conversation. I love it, right? See the people, tell the story. That is the thing. Let's see. So Rance says, thank you very much. So, all right. So we heard from our 3 superstar panelists. We'd like to hear from you. Who out there would like to just take 60 seconds and give their best daily method of operation? Like maybe you want to answer the question, what's the one thing you're going to do no matter what every single day if you only have one thing to do? Maybe you have a special technique, tip, or trick you'd like to share with the group. Go ahead. Don't be shy. You can either raise your hand and we can call on you. You can type in the chat box. I can read it for you. Or you can go ahead and unmute. Who out there's got something? While you're thinking of it, I'll go first. There's a thing called the Miracle Morning for real estate agents. If you're wondering, like, I need to get some type of process going to get my day going, the Miracle Morning for real estate agents has a very specific set of 6 steps you can go through to get to work on you, right? It's more important to work on your business sometimes than to work in your business, because you are the brand. You are what people are hiring. They're not hiring the name on the sign for your brokerage or things like that. They're hiring you. And you got to be the best version of yourself, and constant and never-ending improvement. That comes from Tony Robbins, Kanai, right? Always working on yourself. But the Miracle Morning for real estate agents is a great way to go. But who else has got something would like to unmute? And if we don't have anybody, we'll be wrapping it up and talking about what we have coming next. Who has? I see Jacob Belt from Boston. Go ahead, buddy. Unmute and let's hear what you got, man.
Well, it's a book I read years ago. It really changed my life. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And one of the magics in there to add to your morning routine is 10 years ago, I used to be able to recite every major league player's statistics and everything known to man. I read this book and it said, hey, wait a second. Why don't you read some books? And so he recommended 10 pages a day. So that's what I do in the morning. I do some of this stuff, like all the stuff you guys said is great, Alex. I do a lot of the things you do, Alex. But then I sit down with a cup of coffee and I bang on my 10 pages. That's 12, 13 books a year times 10 years. How many?
$120.
You get to have unbelievable fierce conversations with people when you get all that stuff in your head.
Jacob, you weren't memorizing Boston Red Sox stats, were you, while you were doing that?
Maybe.
I love it. So yeah, go ahead and Jacob, if you do it, put the name of the book in the chat, because by the way,
Yes,
you guys may or may not know this, but you can download the chat, because there's all this different great stuff that was put in the chat box today. There's 3 little dots down in the chat box. If you go and you click on that, there'll be something that pops up that says save chat, and you can save the chat to your computer, and you'll have that all set. Anybody else would like to unmute and say something? I see Valerie, you unmuted. What would you like to share?
I just have a question for everybody in the group, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
How many people are utilizing either a virtual assistant or an in-person assistant?
So we'll start with Alex, and then we'll go from there to Dylan, and then Justin and Brooke again, same order. Are you using a VA, a transaction coordinator, an in-person assistant? What are you using, Alex?
You know, as of right now, I am still by myself. I'm not using any personal assistant. Having said that, my sponsor has contracted out for his team, and they do it. And I'm sure that Justin and Brooke can speak to it a little bit more, but they have it where it's set up where it's $350 for a transaction coordinator for like each transaction. And what they'll do is they'll have their client pay for that. So their client is actually paying for it on the back end. It's just a fee that you need to introduce your clients on the front end. I don't do it as much because some of my Redfin and Zillow leads might not have the means to afford that $350. So I kind of do it all the work instead. But I think in the future of my career, I will.
Now, what would you prefer to have?
Go ahead, Valerie. Say it again.
What would you prefer to have? Would you prefer to have someone in person, hands-on, or would you prefer the virtual assistant route?
I would prefer the virtual assistant route. That would give me a little bit more time. And then I'm kind of all over the place. Like I work a lot from home, but like I definitely would have more of a virtual assistant. I think that would be a little bit more productive for my time.
How about you, Dylan?
I use VAs, virtual assistants, for a lot of data scraping and data mining, not much outside of that, but also have a really good person on our team who does all of our marketing design work. And that's been a huge help, saves me a lot of time getting social media posts up and going.
Dylan, how much you paying a VA on average?
It depends, but a lot less than I would pay someone in America.
So you're paying by the job then, or by the hour?
Yeah, usually by the hour. We do a lot of stuff with data to get, mailers and all that kind of stuff out there. And then sometimes, you'll get a list and you need someone to go and plug in phone numbers. Well, VAs are perfect for that.
Where you, I know I'm pumping you with questions here, but where are you getting your VAs?
Upwork.
Will you type that in the chat box?
Will do. Yes.
Upwork, I think he said, but we'll have you type it in there if you would for me for people on that so they can download the chat. Justin and Brooke, how about you guys? Got you muted.
Hey, can you hear us? All right. We use a real assistant. We actually made her get her real estate license. So if needed, she can show a house for us. Depending on the part of town that she lives in. She can also beneficially use that for her own transactions, which she has. We charge her per transaction. We take that fee out of our end. We don't charge our clients that. That is a cost that we do just because she doesn't handle every aspect that a normal assistant would, because Brooke does a lot of the paperwork, but she does handle the back end of our computer system, which we have honestly no interest in doing. And she keeps us straight and narrow on stuff. And then also we do bring her in for our marketing stuff, and we pay her by the hour for when she helps with that kind of stuff. But I like an in-person because she knows me personally. She knows how I tick. She knows how I work. And when she can send an email and she knows how to word it to where if it sounded like it was me.
Great stuff. Great stuff. As we're wrapping up here, I want to remind everybody, we do these on Mondays at noon Eastern Standard Time. RealtorMastermind.live, same link every single time. Next Monday is going to be Labor Day. So we're going to be taking Monday off, spending time with family. So we're not going to be having one next Monday. But the following Monday after that, we're going to be talking about something everybody on here will be interested in. In fact, all your friends will be interested in real estate. How to increase your GCI by increasing your price point. We're going to have some superstar panelists on there. Plus, I'm sure some of you who've been doing this a long time are going to have great suggestions. Go ahead and make sure you come on and get on live so that you can contribute to this thing. So that's incredible. We'll be doing that. Again, that's 2 weeks from today, so we will not be here on Monday. We do have a YouTube channel, just so you know. We have an entire library of these that we've been doing now for a while that you can go back and you look up all kinds of stuff, how to do short sales, lead generation, how to do a business brokering, how to sell a business and list businesses, things like that. So you can jump on there and check those out and see them. We'll be putting in the chat box the link for the YouTube channel. Go ahead and please subscribe on there. Throw some likes. We're growing the YouTube channel on it. It works great as a library, and that'll be helpful. And then on September 12th, we are having an in-person get-together, IRL, in real life, GrowGlobal event in Louisville, Kentucky, on leverage, how to build leverage and scalability into your business. Because, you know, if you don't have leverage and scalability, you really don't have a real estate business. You just have a real estate job. For example, if you stop working, what happens to your income? If it stops, that means you have a real estate job, not a real estate business. So we'll be working on that. Some superstars will be speaking at that event in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's going to be great. By the way, for those of you out there who are experts at something, we'd love to hear from you. The person who invited you on here, go ahead and let them know a special topic that you may have or an expertise that you may have, and we could have you featured on here as one of our panelists. If you'd like to just be on one of our panelists, we'd love to hear from different agents all over who would like to speak on this. And so there we go. In the chat is the YouTube channel, so you can do that. Don't forget to download the chat. Hit the save chat box by hitting the 3 little dots down there, and that's going to be great. So I want to thank everybody for jumping on today. Is there anybody who wants to add anything before we jump off? We're going to wrap it up here. But anybody who wants to add something, make sure everybody got a chance to talk that wanted to talk. Keisha Nicole says, tax deed investing expert. Keisha, you're an expert on that. Make sure you get with who invited you on here, and we'll see if we can get that in as a topic. I think that could become a big deal as we see the economy do what it's going to do here coming up in the near future. We might be some, well, there's always opportunity, right? In any type of
Jim.
opportunity. Yes. Who unmuted?
Hi, it's Jen Mendoza. How are you?
Jen Mendoza, California.
Yes.
Good morning.
Southern California. I just wanted to add a little 2 cents. I'm sorry, my house is a little echoey. I'm moving my mom in this week, but I wanted to add my 2 cents on the assistant versus TC versus virtual and all of that.
Yeah, let's hear it.
My background is real estate assistant, and then I own a TC business actually. So in my experience, I've had a few deals. I know people are from all over the country. California is a very heavy disclosure state. So in California, I would 100% recommend something like a transaction coordinator to help you with the paperwork, as far as, you know, because there's just so much paperwork. But in other states, I've found, like I've done Kentucky deals, Texas, and another state I can't remember, but they're not as disclosure heavy. There's not as much paperwork involved. And in a state like that, I would probably go with something more like a virtual assistant, or even I would do an in-house if you can, because of the relationship that other people are talking about. It's just better culturally, you know, as far as your business grows, to have somebody in-house like that. But and then I personally would keep marketing and admin duties completely separate, because marketing is more artistic, I guess.
Creative.
And then, or in a way, and then all the admin stuff is just analytical and the brain work like that, you know. So to me, when I was an assistant and we started getting very busy, I took these guys, I helped them with, they probably did about 8-10 deals a year. And within a couple of years, we were doing 98 deals a year. So, but doing the TC work, the admin work, and the marketing, it was a lot for one person. So I would definitely, I think those are 3 separate jobs personally.
Yep, 3 separate types of mindsets and brain and skill sets. So I love that. Great advice on that. Thanks everybody for jumping on today. Appreciate everybody's contribution that they had on here. Thanks to our 3 panelists. Well done. Great, great stuff on here. Again, we'll be together in 2 weeks, but go ahead and, if family's driving you nuts next Monday, jump on the YouTube channel and watch some of our other ones that we have. And we'll be talking to everybody live in 2 weeks. And hey, bring a friend. You know what I mean? Bring somebody along to come and check it out. And we will grow this even bigger. Grow Global is just about growing your business globally, even though you work locally. So we appreciate everybody jumping on. I'm going to stop the recording now, and then we'll be saying bye to everyone.